Resources, Gaming, and Microscale. Tonight we'll be looking at how we're going to decide to build our armies for the upcoming battles. Here we go. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today for the next episode. So today we're going to be exploring the armies we're choosing to build for this upcoming battle as we explore 3mm microscale. So first thing we do is we need to look at our resource material, which will be Fistful of Toes. So this is the rule set that you can get off a Wargame Vault at the above or below website address. You can order it there, or you can order a physical copy as well from there. So we're going to be exploring that here. So what we need to do is we go to the army lists in the back of the book, and I'm going to get those from 1950 onward. And first, we'll go ahead and, since everything's alphabetical, we're going to start with the Russians and the Americans, and then we will be bringing in other nationalities as we go on in this project. But let us start with the Russian-Soviet from 1970 on. So what I did was I looked at, went past a little bit, some of the armored battalions, tank regiments here. So the nice thing about these is that they break it down, and let's see if I can. I was going to try and zoom in for you here. So you can see these pages better, but everything is broken down. So they show you a base, basically a headquarters. So this is a tank regiment from 1980 on. So we've got self-propelled SAM, a self-propelled AA gun, a recon BRDM2s, and a recon infantry fighting vehicle. They show 3 tank battalions consisting of 6 main battle tanks. So this is based on the scale of 1 vehicle or 1 mini equals 5 vehicles, or 1 platoon stand, I believe, is a company of infantry. So if you look down here, they actually show you how to build this based on stands. So you have one self-propelled SAM, one self-propelled AA gun, one BDRM, one PT-76B, 18 main battle tanks will give you your total of your 3 tank battalions. So that is 6 main battle tanks per battalion. Since we are going on a 1-to-1 scale, we'll be changing this up. So this is nice here that they break it down for you to show you exactly what it is you're going to be needing. So obviously, if we're playing a European type scenario in pretty much modern day, obviously the Russians will have theoretically a greater amount of vehicles and equipment on the battlefield versus the United States or some of the other nationalities. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the Russians. And I'm going to now jump up into the U.S. Army, but we're going to go past 73. So here you have the U.S. Army 1973 onward. So I'm looking at a tank battalion of 1983 onward, and I will have to escape out of this so we can actually enhance this for you. So you can see that a little better, and let me enlarge it. So as you can see, tank battalion here has a recon crew fighting vehicle, self-propelled mortar, 4 tank companies, each consisting of 3 main battle tanks, and then the stand inventory is the 1 crew fighting vehicle, mortar, 12 main battle tanks. So I think I actually went with a heavier, let me look, because I believe I actually went with a heavy brigade combat team. So combined arms, because I did add mechanized infantry. So we did still have a self-propelled 120 mortar, 3 mech stands with their infantry fighting vehicles, 2 tank companies consisting of 3 main battle tanks to each, so it breaks down your stands right here. So I actually expanded on that because I'm doing 1-to-1, so it looks better on the field. But the nice thing is you can go into this, it breaks it down very nicely, and you can also do attachments. Like a tank company would consist of 3 main battle tanks, whereas I'm doing a full company on 1-to-1, so you have your XO tank, you have your XO tank, first sergeant support vehicle, your supply, commo, and then your platoons. Your platoons are broken down into 4 tanks per platoon. So all in all, it ends up being 15 actual tanks to a tank company. So that is the way I went with it. So that breaks down the list. So you can, whether you're playing it on the 1-to-5 scale or the 1-to-1 scale, you can do that either way. It just looks like you got more stuff on the battlefield, which is fun. Sometimes it can be a little bit, but we are going to base each platoon or element on its own base. They won't all be individually based. So like say Alpha Company, first platoon or first troop, whatever, depending on how you do it, would be based on one base. So you would have your 4 tanks for first platoon on a base. Because that's, you're talking 3 mil, as you'll see here shortly. That will be that. So where are we getting these from? Well, if you've watched the title slide, you know already we're going to go to Pico Armor, and I have their website address right here. So if you go to picoarmor.com, you can. This is U.S. based. If you're in the U.K. or Europe, go to Odzel Armies, and they're basically the supplier for Pico Armor, and you can get all your miniatures there at the 3mm scale. So we're going to go into the war shop. We're going to go into modern miniatures here at 3mm. And then we're going to jump down to the American side first, since it's alphabetical. We'll just start with the alphabetic. And then we're going to drop down into tanks. And let the tanks come up. So then it was, okay, what time period, what equipment are we going with? So I believe I went with M1A2s or A1s. If you give me a quick second, I will bring up the list that I had while you guys are looking at the tanks there. Just going to bring up the order. All right. Let's see, where is it? He just sent me a thing here. Here it is. That was the first one. Okay. Nope, so I'm ordering M1A1s. So I will show you, see if I can, I'll bring this over to this screen here so you can see. So as you can see right here, let me see if I can bring that out. Pico armor. Nope, that wasn't gonna. Okay. There we go. All right, so as you can see, I ordered 15 M1A1 Abrams, 15 Humvees in different formats, 15 M577s, 15 of the M113s, some M88s and M578s for recovering vehicles, some LMTVs, some Bradleys, some other heavy Humvees, some different forms of 113s, infantry packs. For air support, I brought in some A10s. And then we get into the Soviet side, some BDRMs, some BMPs, some GAS 66s, the T80 BV version, some infantry. So T80 is, I got like 15 coming on the table, BMP. So this is just to start with. So I thought we'd look at that. So I did order the M1A1s. So if you can think, it's 15 pieces for $4.75. Everything's pretty much $4.75. So not bad when you think about it. So I went with the M1A1s versus the M1A2s just because of time periods, and it's kind of like that middle of the road. So you have those. And then for my infantry fighting vehicles, I did not go with the more modern Cougars and MRAPs. I kind of went with middle of the road, so I did get some standard Humvees. So if we want to transition to another time period, obviously if we were going to like very current, we could do MRAPs, but there's probably quite a few Humvees still in Europe right now. Obviously we're not doing any Jeeps, LAVs, that's Marines. We might do Marines at some point, or send some over to Jim, and Jim can take on the Marine side of things and maybe a Pacific theater. Let's see. So then we did some LMTVs for transports, and then we did some other Humvees. I did the up-armored ones, again showing some differences. Some M113s for support vehicles, could be a medic vehicle or just supply in repair shops, stuff like that. Those are being phased out. I mean, there isn't many they're really using. I mean, the Bradleys have pretty much taken over that aspect, but I believe I ordered some Bradleys as well. Yep, I did. And some M577s for command vehicles, and then the recovery vehicles. I got those. And then pretty much I did not do Strikers because they're kind of getting away from Strikers, going with the new vehicle. So I think some of the Strikers are going to become the new airborne armored vehicle or something like that. So that's pretty much what we're taking on from the American side. So for aircraft, I should show you the A10s. Again, I just put some in. I mean, for $4.75 for 4 aircraft, can you really go wrong? So there you go. Then we go back to the Russian side. This is where it gets a little tricky because they have so much, right? They have so much to choose from. And if we go to the tanks, I'm used to T-64s, T-72s, and then T-80s, but they have so much to choose from. T-14s, I think that's the newer tank, if I'm not mistaken. You can go all the way back to T-34s. So we have T-55s, T-62s, T-64s. You know, the ones you're used to seeing, T-72s, which my understanding from Jim is that those are export models. The Russians actually use T-62s and 64s. And then you get into their more modern, up-to-date stuff. You're looking at T-80s. I ordered the T-80BVs, which look like amphibious vehicles, if I'm not mistaken, if that's what that is. I'm not sure what that is on the back there, but we went with T-80s. And I'll probably order more of those since, you know, we want many more tanks Soviet side. So I just got some to kind of get a feel of what the table will look like. So we got our T-80s, and we want the infantry fighting vehicles. You know, and of course you're going to get your BMDs or BDRMs. So BMPs, you know, which are tracked vehicles. And then BDRMs, which are your wheeled vehicles. You know, use those for troop transport and other things. And BTRs, which are like armored vehicles, like half tracks almost. But there's so many BTRs to choose from. And again, these are 3 mils, so they're like this big. So we'll be able to fit those nicely on a base. A lot of these bases are just basically cardboard. We did order some trucks as well for them. And we'll go with those. And like I said, where is my... If we go back to here, so, you know, infantry, BDRM 2s, BMPs, GAS 66, which they were out of stock GAS 66, so I went with another type vehicle similar to them. And then infantry, they're supplying Chinese infantry in one of these these infantry stands. They're really going to look pretty much the same. They're using pretty much the same equipment. So, and if we look at the infantry stands, yeah, the infantry ones are temporarily out of stock. So I've got these, plus they're sending me some Chinese ones that'll look very similar. You know, remember, these are 3 mils, so I mean, these little doohickeys are like this big. They throw a little color paint on them and some wash, and Bob's your uncle. So, and then if we go to, let's see, artillery. So I'm going to probably end up getting some artillery at some point, but we're in phase 1 of this program. So as you can see, nice thing about 3mm, it's easy to paint because there isn't much to it. You get the appropriate base colors, throw a little wash, maybe a little highlights. Takes you, you can pretty much do a whole company in a night, or your whole American side in a night, and the Russians in another night, and do those kind of awesome things, and get them on the table playing. Then you build your table, which we're probably just going to get a mat and some very tiny terrain, because if you look, they actually have terrain, limited, but they do have terrain. And there's other companies out there, and the terrain is, $3.50 for a farm. So you get a couple European farms, those down, some streets, stores. It's a pack of 4, right? So for $4.50, you can get all kinds of stuff. Throw it down. Here's trees. So you can do a whole setup of tables. If you wanted to get, these are literally monopoly houses and hotels. So they're pretty cool options that is available out there. Here's palm trees, for Jim doing, and we can do some ruin stuff. And there's other companies out there that you can get other miniature buildings from, storehouses, huts, so we can create a little table to do these battles in. So the important thing is to look at kind of as a list, your army list. So like I said, my heavy brigade combat team, I'm going to have recon vehicles. This I did not get yet. I will. Or there was an armored company, I thought. Armored Cav. mechanized infantry, tank battalion. So tank battalion is pretty much where I'm following at this point and adding more, and then we'll add up more. It was kind of an experiment to see how long it would take to get the things I ordered and see how long it would take. So it should be on its way to me, and by the next video series, we should be able to take a good close look at them and get some paint on them. So I appreciate you following along in the series. Again, there isn't too much to look at. We'll look at some miniatures one more time. So we'll go back to the modern miniatures in 3mm and American. So you can see some of the aircraft options, even a helicopter. So at some point, we'll probably do some Apaches and some things like that. The American infantry, again, it's 3mm, so it's really tiny. So you got some that are kind of like in a prone position, standing position. So I have these coming. I have these coming just to mix it up because I'm having mechanized infantry. And I know it seems like right now I've got a pretty even mix on Russian side versus American side. We'll probably almost double the amount of miniatures on the Russian side. But for now, this just gives me a feel for what we have. And then, as you can see, there's the Americans, the British, which will be very excited to get some of that stuff down, as they have their different tanks, the Challengers and the Chieftains, and all that good stuff. And then we'll probably do some Polish, because the kind of scenario I have in the back of my head is that the events that are happening over in Eastern European somehow accidentally spill over into the Polish territories. And so the NATO forces that are in Poland will be there to help push back, if you will, some of that aggression. So that could be one of the scenarios. So it's nice to see that we have American, British, Chinese, so the Chinese may come in on the side of the Soviets at some point. French, German, Israelis, the Italians, minor nations. So that'll be interesting. So you got Angolian and BTRs and Binocs and Bushmasters. So different interesting things. So there you go as we look at those. So I'm excited to see those on the table. And if you guys have any other ideas or supplies out there, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. So please make sure you subscribe to this video and to our channel, and make sure you ding that bell so you know when the next time we have something going on. So for the rest of the podcast team, my name is Bill, and we will see you on the next episode of the SITREP podcast. Take care.